The United States has blamed the rising attacks by terrorist groups in Nigeria and other African countries on its forced exit from bases in some neighboring countries, including Niger and Chad, pointing to its inability to monitor the activities of the violent organizations effectively. Commander of the U.S. African Command, AFRICOM, U.S. Marine Corps General Michael Langley, described the recent attacks in Nigeria and other parts of the Sahel as deeply concerning. According to the AFRICOM chief, the incidence of violence is not only troubling, but the scale of brutality that comes with them have also become concerning. He added that the U.S. was monitoring the situation closely and sharing intel with the Nigerian military and also regional partners in the area of security. Joining us on the morning show to discuss the concerns raised by General Michael Langley is Brigadier General Sani Usman, retired, former Director, Army Public Relations. Good morning, General Usman, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Well, General, your colleague, General Langley, says that part of the problem we have in Nigeria, the escalation of insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, farmer-settlers clash in the north-central region, and also elsewhere in the country, is because, you know, the U.S. command had to leave Niger in September 2024. And as a result of that, they could not help as effectively as they could have helped. Even if he visited Nigeria in November 2024, and they still have a liaison with countries that want their help. And that the move towards Russia and China by Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso remains a major problem. Whereas the United States is interested in stability of the Sahel region. Is General Langley being self-serving, or is he saying the truth? And how can we walk around his statements, which was at the African Defense Chiefs Conference held in Kenya?
Well, it's no question of saying whether he's saying the truth or otherwise. He has raised legitimate concerns, and of course, you have to look at it from various perspectives. The first instance is the fact that, yes, United States have been assisting, especially having bases in Niger and, of course, the fusion center in Chad. Now they are no longer there. Definitely it impacts on the counter-insurgency effort. But be it as it may, sometimes you have to look at it from the other perspective, that in previous instances, even when they were there, most of the intelligence comes either late or too little, as the case may be. And you can recall several other instances where assistance were attached with certain conditionalities that are prohibitive, so to speak. You remember, you know, the Lehi laws, you know, the Super Tucano, and so on and so forth. Then, of course, you have to look at the geopolitics. Now, gradually, the United States and some Western countries are losing, you know, ground on the African continent, particularly the West Africa. You know what is happening in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic particularly. Now, China and Russia are making inroads. So naturally, the United States will not be comfortable with those kind of things. Gradually losing, influence and all the rest of them. So the concern can be looked from those two perspectives. But that does not mean actually the concerns are not there. I rather look at it more or less like a wake-up call, particularly to Nigeria, to look more inward and have more constructive engagement with our West African neighbors, strengthening, multilateral organizations like, the ECOWAS and the Multinational Joint Task Force. But most importantly, we have to also look inward, because despite all this, the setbacks and what have you, we have noticed renewed vigor on the part of our security agencies, in the Northwest, in the North Central, and of course in the Northeast. Therefore, such efforts need to be critically examined, commended, supported, and encouraged.
Thank you so much, General. Why do you think we have this subservient attitude and body language towards some of these international military groups? Because it's not just AFRICOM. There's also the G5S, which was the group for the Sahel region. And of course, now we hear about the Chinese, we hear about the Russians. Beyond that, of course, we also know that there are some mercenary groups as well that operate in the region. But we talk about it, it's reported, it seems we know about it, but it seems we're ready to be subservient to them. Why are we not able to be progressive in how we deploy some of our military strategies so that we can be the leader to determine, and not just Nigeria, as a region, to determine our security strategy, as opposed to it being imposed on us from these people whose interests only serve themselves?
Well, the answer to the question why, I think, first and foremost, it is quite obvious in the fact that we are far behind technologically and with, in terms of advancement, weaponry, and so on. Therefore, things that you do not have, definitely you have to look elsewhere to get it. Take, for instance, you know it, that even if you develop some of this technology, let's even look at the satellite technology. The geosynchronous orbit that hosts some of these satellites, even if you develop yours, you no longer have available parking space. So you rely on these Western countries, to, mitigate some of these challenges. Then the other aspect of it is the issue of self-inflicted injury. We know it to a large extent. Some of the issues borders on, issue of governance. Had it been that we focus on that, Nigeria could have been developed better than it is, and we could have achieved more that we will not be relying on. Let's look at the issue of starting military-industrial complex almost 60 years ago with Brazil and other countries. DICON is still where it is and all the rest. So when you look at all these things, you will have the answer to the question why. And of course, in terms of human development indices and all the rest, we are lagging behind. So to a large extent, whoever pays the piper dictate the tunes. These people are more or less concerned about their own interest. So if they see that you will serve their purpose, and they will attach certain conditionalities, and a beggar doesn't have choice. So, and that is one.
So, are you saying that our sovereignty is worth a little bit of technology? That our sovereignty when it comes to security issues is the price of technology? No. What I'm trying to say, you ask the question why, and I'm telling you these are the reasons. You are looking for something that you don't have. Take, for instance, between you there and Rufai, he has something that you desperately need. Rufai may decide to give certain conditionality. It's left for you to decide whether you desperately need that thing or not. Let's look at the issue of counter-insurgency operation. You know that Boko Haram coveted some aspects of some part of Nigerian territories. The government was so determined to ensure that no part of Nigeria is being coveted by terrorist groups. Therefore, it needed weapons, it needed support and all the rest. And the support came with conditionalities, and you cannot allow this group to keep on killing people, ransacking places. So basically, you have to look at it from that perspective. But at the same time, we have to remember that Nigeria is an independent entity, a sovereign country. So you have to think of other alternatives that will not denigrate your independence and dignity as a nation.
Okay. So I'd like to see your thought process around this. Then what should be, the alternative way of doing these partnerships? How can we build capacity? Because this same military partnership with foreign partners, they can wake up one morning and choose to leave it high and dry. You remember what happened with the French and Operation Barkhane around the Sahel area? It's always about their interest. How do we build something formidable? In the 90s, we had something like ECOMOG, which was very successful. But how do we also build intelligence, reconnaissance, arsenal across our region that is a coalition of our forces? I know the money is going to be a big problem, but how can we look inwards rather than these foreign partners all the time? I reckon Nigeria has the capacity for this. Actually, and we can lead the way.
Definitely, there is no doubt about it. And you have even given an answer to the question. It's a question of looking inward. And earlier on, I was saying that Nigeria is blessed with two things: mineral resources and, most importantly, the human resources. How do we take advantage of it to make sure that we reposition this country? Take, for instance, despite the lack of military presence, the U.S. assistance with ISR and all the rest of them, yes, we suffer setback, but you have noticed renewed vigor on the part of the security forces in the Northwest, in the North Central, and Northeast. How did they come about it? Basically, it was internal ingenuity. And that is why I say we should critically look at it, commend, encourage, and support it. And of course, we have to also up our game in terms of intelligence gathering. But most importantly, Nigeria cannot do it alone. We have to collaborate. How do we collaborate? Our immediate neighbors will need to have constructive engagement. And we have platforms, the ECOWAS and, of course, multinational joint task force. And the good thing about it, most of these security agencies, particularly the armed forces, they have had shared experience either during ECOMOG days or in terms of training and other operations, either in the Gulf of Guinea training exercise. Look at Obangame and the rest of them. So we have to build on those kind of things. But most importantly, bulk of security challenges, they stem from the issue of either governance issue. So we have to tell ourselves the truth, and we have to be more accountable and be more focused by, strengthening institutions, because we have the capacity to be the leading nation, not just on the West African sub-region, but even the African continent, and of course a force to be reckoned with in the world if we are so determined.
Okay, General. Well, indeed, the General Langley talked about sovereignty and the need for these countries to, provide a solution, to take the lead in finding a solution to the challenges of insecurity in their countries. But that the U.S. is ready, if invited, to form partnership with any country that so desires. However, I ask you two questions. What's the status of the multinational joint task force? We know that terrorism is global, its insurgency is global, but the MNJTF was created to address this problem. What are the specific challenges that these countries are facing? And then two, to what extent do you think that the exit of our neighboring countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, into the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, as it is called, to what extent do you think that is affecting us? And what should Nigeria do in terms of engaging those countries that, form the borders of Nigeria?
First, the issue of multinational joint task force is up and doing, and recently you can see particularly Sector 3, which is Nigeria has been recording some tremendous success. And so it is up and doing. Of course, it can be further reinvigorated to make it more active, as it were, with the support of other, other countries. And remember, it is not just multinational joint task force. You have the Lake Chad Basin Commission also. And talking about the exit and what, it's more or less like a counter-productive and two-edged sword. So much as it impacts on Nigeria, it also impacts on them, because you have noticed certain outspike on some of the security challenges in these countries. Most worrisome is the fact that Benin Republic, that has been relatively peaceful, especially in the northern part of the country, now it has security challenges. So I think the answer to this question is that we should continue to have constructive engagement to understand that, look, we shouldn't be emotional when it comes to issues of this nature. Yes, we can understand they have gone through, they have been through a lot from their former colonial masters and all the rest of the thing, but they should understand that the issue of security in the West African sub-region is a collective responsibility, because there is no way. We have had instances at the onset of the Boko Haram insurgencies. There was this lukewarm attitude on the part of some of our neighbors, not when they started crossing border and attacked them. Now they understood, hence the reinvigoration of the multinational joint task force. So we have to revisit the issue, and Nigeria has to play the leading role, devoid of any sentiment, that so that the sub-region will be secure. And it requires collective effort and continuous re-engagement, constructive engagement with these neighbors.
Well, General, well, I do, but you say Sector 3 is fine, Nigeria is making progress, but Governor Zulum of Borno State doesn't think so. He doesn't think that government is doing enough. You disagree with him? Hello, General?
It's not, no, it is not a question of agreeing or disagreeing. And I am quite aware of the fact that he has been to Marte and so many other places. And I have, beyond what you media have, I have other footages, videos of his engagement with the military and other, people populating that area. So I think it is not an issue of agreeing or disagreeing. Where there are challenges, let it be noted, and let's be constructive about it to encourage these people to give in the best they could.
Okay, thank you very much, General Usman. Thank you for joining us.